Hi, welcome back to the channel. I'm Michelle, and today I'm going to be sharing my curriculum picks for the 2024-2025 school year. And I'm going to start with my 4-year-old, and the videos after this will contain my 7-year-old and my rising 6th grader, and then I'll do a separate video for group subjects. I like to separate them, that way people can just watch which videos they're interested in, and sometimes they can get pretty lengthy. So this will be for my 4-year-old. This past year we did do some preschool work, and I was debating whether or not to advance him into kindergarten level work or to keep him in more the pre-K area. And ultimately I decided to go with sticking with more pre-K, at least for the beginning of the school year. I do think he is capable of doing kindergarten math and all about reading level 1, but it would be a very long and slow progress, which is completely fine. But by the time I'm reaching my 3rd child, I've got the place where I realize you don't need to rush them, and there's no trophy for, going ahead of the game. I think he would very much benefit from more practice with phonics, especially during the end of this school year. He was having some troubles, and I was troubleshooting, letter sounds with him. And we have done a lot this summer. I'll link up above our summer plans. That has really helped that, and I think he could move into kindergarten level work because of that. But again, I want to have a solid foundation with him because he's definitely my most stubborn of all my children. So I don't want to push him when it's not necessary. So we are going to at least the beginning of the school year. I do anticipate we will at some point in the school year move into kindergarten level work, but at least for the beginning of the school year, I want to focus on more the pre-K skills. First up will be math. This past preschool year, he did Kate Snow preschool math at home, which was really good for him. So I decided to go with mathematical reasoning, beginnings 1. This is for ages 3 and up. And I did this with one of my other kids. I want to say probably my middle child at some point. It's very gentle introduction to math, and I think that will work really well for him. We're going to continue to work on numbers, counting to 100, that type of thing. But this is more puzzles and things like that, which he's really into. I do think he's capable of doing math with confidence kindergarten, which is where I would place him after this, which is where we would go after this. But right now, I want to take it easy and slow with him, and I think we'll have a lot of fun with that. Next up is handwriting. So I got the Learning Without Tears with Handwriting Without Tears, my first school book. He's already started this, and he really likes it, and I've used this program with my older 2 kids as well. I think it's really good. We'll continue with that. When I picked that up, I also picked up my first lowercase book, so he'll work through this book, and then he'll work through this one. Next will be phonics, so he will continue working on his letter sounds. So I have the Montessori sandpaper tiles that we just go through every day of school just to reinforce information. I picked this Fun Time Phonics up on Thrift Books, and it's just different phonetic activities to do because he definitely is one of those that has to focus more on the letter sound. My other 2 seem to grasp the concept easier. And one of the things we did troubleshoot this past summer is I brought in some reading reflex, which I will link up above of, what I read this summer or what I read in, I believe, June. Yes. And we used some of the activities in there, continue to do it, and it has helped a lot. So I just want to reinforce those activities and really get him to listen to the different phonetic sounds. To go with that, I also got Get Ready for the Code. I got the pack A, B, and C. Again, I think it will just help reinforce some of those things he's been struggling with phonetic-wise. And then the only other thing he'll be doing for language arts is we started this summer doing Core Knowledge Preschool, and I'll pull that up on my computer for you to see. So this is Core Knowledge, again, completely free online. This is the Language Arts Preschool unit. So we have done a couple of these already this summer. We did the All About Me, we did Domain 2, Families, Communities, we've done Domain 3, Animals. We are currently doing Domain 4, Plants. So we will have Domain 5, Habitats, and we will also do the Classic Tales and the Important People in American History unit. Once we finish those, I anticipate we will then go into the kindergarten, which I've already done with my 7-year-old, so I'm familiar with how all that works. But we will go into nursery and rhymes, stories, 5 senses. But that is the plan for core knowledge. And again, the preschool level was probably harder to implement than other core knowledge units I've used. I've used them in multiple language arts grades. I've used them in science. I've used them in history and geography. These were definitely more or were harder to implement, but they did have some positive aspects as well. So one of the things I wanted to talk about with the positive aspects is, yes, it was a little harder to implement because it's definitely made for a classroom setting, and it has, different stations and centers and things like that. It has been adaptable. Like I said, we're halfway through it, and I can pick out what I need to now. One thing I wanted to highlight in it is that it does have strategies very similar to what's taught in Reading Reflex. It also has strategies that are taught from this Equip for Reading Success in the back, where you isolate different sounds. So I don't think core knowledge gets a lot of credit, that it really is bringing in these multiple different types of techniques and learning into this one curriculum. And there's definitely parts of it that remind me of All About Reading. So even in the preschool age, we are using skills that are taught in all these different curriculum in one core knowledge curriculum unit. So I do want to highlight that although it's harder to implement in some ways, you are getting multiple resources in one by using this, because we are starting phonetic sounds, we are starting beginning writing. Those are all included in the preschool unit. So outside of regular schoolwork, he will of course be part of our co-op, and he will, because he's kind of dropped his nap, he will participate in group subjects as he wants to. This past year, he really enjoyed joining us for science, specifically the demonstrations or the experiments, and he did enjoy watching the documentaries for history and things like that. So he's welcome to come and go as he pleases for group subjects, but I do anticipate he'll want to join us for some of those things. And again, no means required, it's just exposure at this point. And as far as any outside activities, we decided not to go with any type of classes, at least at the beginning of the semester, just because he, maturity-wise, isn't quite there yet, and he's definitely, I don't think, would be very comfortable in a classroom setting. So if he took, taekwondo, gymnastics, something like that, I don't think he'd be very comfortable if my husband and I weren't in the room with him or participating with him, just because he's not used to being in an environment when he doesn't have a parent present. So he's just not there maturity-wise, and that's completely fine, and it could change, throughout the year. And if that does happen, then we will consider putting him in something. But at this point, he's got enough going on with what he does with his sisters and what we do with group and co-op and everything, that I think that's plenty. But those are my plans for my 4-year-old for his pre-K year. If you have any questions about anything I mentioned, leave it in the comments below. If not, thank you for watching.